What if you didn't need coffee just to make your brain feel halfway functional before 10 a.m.? What if focus came naturally and energy was just something you had, not something you had to chase? What if your mind felt calm, clear, and present without needing a second wind, a sugar fix, or a meditation app you forget to open? Sounds like a dream, right? But instead, here's what's probably more familiar. You wake up groggy even after a full night of sleep. Your thoughts feel fuzzy. You forget small things, words, names, tasks, and then beat yourself up for it. You push through, fueled by caffeine and willpower. You try harder to focus, but end up doom scrolling or rereading the same email 3 times. By the afternoon, you're dragging. And by evening, you're completely spent, but wired. So you stay up too late trying to catch up or just zone out with something mindless, and the cycle repeats. So you do what high achievers do. You look for solutions. You try harder to optimize. You start the supplements. You switch your diet. You download another productivity tool. Maybe you even throw in a cold plunge or 2. But here's the thing. None of it feels like enough. Because no matter how much you do, your brain still feels like it's lagging behind. That's where most people get stuck. Not because they're lazy, but because they're solving the wrong problem. They're treating their brain fog and energy crashes like a motivation issue or a discipline issue, when really it's a communication issue between the systems in your body that are supposed to keep your brain clear, your energy steady, and your mood grounded. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize they're missing it because they're doing everything they've been told to. Eat cleaner, sleep more, take the right supplements, but they still don't feel better, which only leads to more self-doubt and more second guessing. Maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe I'm just not cut out to handle this much anymore. It's not your age. It's not your mindset. And it's not a lack of effort. The truth? There's a different root cause that needs to be addressed. One that can actually shift how your brain and body feel every single day. But most people have no idea it exists. Now imagine this instead. You wake up feeling refreshed without hitting snooze 3 times or needing coffee just to be civil. You sit down to work and your brain clicks on. You remember what you need to do. You get into the flow more easily and you're not constantly distracted or second guessing yourself. Afternoons don't feel like a crash landing. You still have energy for your family or just for yourself without needing a nap or zoning out with junk food or Netflix to recover from the day. And your memory, your mood, your sense of motivation, they're stable. Not perfect, not every second, but solid enough that you finally feel like yourself again. Now here's the part that surprises most people. That kind of transformation isn't reserved for people with perfect routines, no kids, or personal chefs. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right order to support the root causes of how your brain actually functions. Because here's the truth, you don't have to hustle for clarity, calm, and energy. You just need to stop fighting against your biology. Once your cells have what they need and the barriers that have been gumming up your systems are removed, your brain knows how to bounce back. It's built for resilience. But most people never get to that point because they've been so busy chasing the wrong solutions. So instead of progress, they get more pressure. Instead of results, they get burnt out. And if that's been your experience, I want you to know it's not your fault, but it is something that you can change. Here's what most people don't realize. When your brain is struggling to focus or your body is running on empty, it's not because you need to push harder. It's not a time management issue. It's not about finding the perfect planner, and it's definitely not solved by another productivity podcast or morning routine challenge. In fact, the more you try to will your way through it, hustling harder, sleeping less, ignoring your body's signals, the more you dig yourself into a hole. Because here's the interesting truth. Focus and energy are not things you can force. They're side effects of a well-functioning system. When your brain cells are inflamed, undernourished, or overwhelmed by internal stress signals, no amount of motivation or willpower is going to override that. You don't need another hack. You need healing. And that starts inside the body, not just inside your calendar. What makes this so tricky is that most people don't recognize the signs early on. They think, well, I'm just tired, or I just need to be more disciplined. But behind the scenes, there's often a cascade of inflammation, hormone imbalances, neurotransmitter depletion, and even low-level toxicity that's making it impossible for your brain to show up the way you want it to. And the harder you push, the more those systems get depleted. That's why what you think you should be doing, hustling harder, waking up earlier, scheduling every moment of your day, might actually be making things worse. But when you start working with your body instead of against it, that's when everything changes. You don't need to force your brain to perform. You need to create an environment where it naturally comes back online. And when that happens, focus becomes effortless, energy becomes sustainable, and life starts feeling manageable again. So how do you know if this is what's really going on for you? How do you know if you've been stuck in hustle mode, chasing energy and focus instead of restoring the systems that actually create it? Ask yourself a few questions. Have you been relying on caffeine, sugar, or supplements just to feel normal? Do you feel more productive when you're anxious and crash the second you try to rest? Are you always searching for the next planner, routine, or discipline hack to finally stay on top of things? Or do you feel like your brain is constantly buffering even when you're eating well and doing everything right? If any of those sound familiar, I want you to hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You've just been taught to power through instead of heal from the inside out. And here's the good news. There's another way. You can create lasting energy, focus, and mental clarity, not by doing more, but by understanding what your brain and body are actually asking for. And that's exactly what I'm teaching in my free masterclass, the 4-step framework to beat brain fog, fatigue, and mood and memory struggles naturally. Inside, I'll walk you through the systems that drive mental clarity and energy and why so many smart, capable people are unknowingly sabotaging them. No fluff, no overwhelm, just clear, actionable insight that makes everything start to click. Join the waitlist now and you'll be the first to know when it opens again. You've already proven you can push through. Now it's time to feel better without the hustle.